One day, while walking on the roof of the royal palace in Babylon, King Nebuchadnezzar said to himself, "Is Babylon not the greatest kingdom, built by my power and wealth for myself and for my glory?" Before he could finish the phrase, he heard a voice from heaven saying, "This is what is commanded concerning you, King Nebuchadnezzar. Your kingdom has been taken away from you. You will be taken away from people and will live with the wild animals. You will be fed with grass like an ox, and 7 years will pass until you recognize the Most High God rules over the kingdom of men, and He gives power to whoever He wants." King Nebuchadnezzar immediately lost his mind and began to behave like a wild animal. People were afraid of him, so they took him out of the city. Hi kids, are you curious to find out what happened to King Nebuchadnezzar? Did God really speak to him from heaven? Could it really be possible that such an important man had his whole kingdom taken away? Together, let's discover a new venture in Daniel's life and the way God chose to use him to speak to the most powerful man in the land of Babylon. While living in peace and happiness in his palace because of all his great riches, King Nebuchadnezzar had another dream. This time, the king did not forget the dream. In fact, he remembered everything very well because it was a terrifying dream. So, as soon as he awoke from his dream, Nebuchadnezzar called up his servants. "Bring all the wise men of Babylon before me at once. I want to find out the meaning of my dream as soon as possible. Hurry up, there is no time to waste." Then the magicians, the fortune tellers, and all the wise men came before him. King Nebuchadnezzar told them his dream so they could interpret it. The wise men listened to him attentively, but they had nothing to say because they could not understand its meaning. Angrily, the king drove all of them out of the room. It ended up that Daniel, whom the king called Belteshazzar, also appeared before him. When the king saw him, he told Daniel, "Belteshazzar, I know that you have the spirit of the holy gods in you, and that no mystery is too difficult for you. So, interpret for me the visions I saw while I was lying in my bed." The king asked Daniel, "I saw a very tall tree standing in the middle of the earth. This tree grew large and strong. Its top touched the sky, and it could be seen from anywhere on the earth. Its leaves were beautiful, and it had plenty of good fruit on it, enough to feed everyone. Under its branches, the wild animals found shelter. They all made their place under its shade, and the birds of the sky made their nests in its branches. People from all over the world came and ate its fruit." The king continued. But suddenly, a holy angel appeared and gave the following command: "Cut down the big tree, cut off its branches, strip off all its leaves, and scatter its fruit. Let the animals that are under it run away and the birds from its branches fly away. Leave only its stump and roots in the ground. Put a band of iron and bronze around it, and let it stay in the field for 7 years, so it will be watered by the rain of heaven. This way, all mankind will know there is a God in heaven who rules over the kingdoms of men. He gives power to whoever He wants, and He chooses people who are not proud to rule them." "This was my dream," King Nebuchadnezzar told Daniel. "Now, explain this dream to me, because all the wise men in my kingdom have no idea what it means. But you do, because you have the spirit of the holy gods in you." God helped Daniel understand the meaning of the dream, but he was afraid to tell the king its meaning. Finally, King Nebuchadnezzar told Daniel, "Daniel, do not be afraid, and do not let the dream or its meaning make you afraid. I command you to tell me the meaning of this dream right away." The king ordered. Daniel gathered the courage to answer the king. "The tree which you saw, which grew large and strong, so that its top touched the skies and it could be seen from all over the earth? That tree," Daniel continued, "is you, my king. You have become a great and powerful king, and your power reaches to the far parts of the earth. The command you heard, where the tree will be cut down, means that you will lose your kingdom for 7 years. During that time, you will be taken away from people, and you will live among the wild animals. You will eat grass like an ox, and rain from the sky will soak you. But when you will realize that the Most High God rules over the whole world, and you will recognize that He is the ruler over the kingdoms of men and gives them to whoever He wants, then you will live among men again, and your kingdom will be given back to you," Daniel concluded. Because Daniel was aware of God's goodness, he asked Nebuchadnezzar, "My king, please accept my advice. Stop sinning and do what is right. Be kind to poor people. Have mercy on the hopeless, and perhaps your days of happiness and peace will continue." However, the king did not listen to Daniel. A year had passed and nothing happened. Because of this, Nebuchadnezzar had almost forgotten about his scary but important dream. But instead of heeding the warning, he trusted even more in his power. He was proud of his wonderful palace and of its famous capital city, Babylon. One day, while walking on the roof of the royal palace in Babylon, King Nebuchadnezzar said to himself, "Is Babylon not the greatest kingdom, built by my power and wealth for myself and for my glory?" Before he could finish the phrase, he heard a voice from heaven saying, "This is what is commanded concerning you, King Nebuchadnezzar. Your kingdom has been taken away from you. You will be taken away from people and will live with the wild animals. You will be fed grass like an ox, and 7 years will pass until you recognize that the Most High God rules over the kingdom of men, and He gives power to whoever He wants." King Nebuchadnezzar immediately lost his mind and began to behave like a wild animal. People were afraid of him, so they took him out of the city. The king lived out in the fields and ate grass like an ox. His hair and nails grew so long that he looked more like an animal than a human being. It all happened just as the dream predicted, and after the 7 years had passed, God restored Nebuchadnezzar's mind. Then the king lifted his eyes to heaven and thanked God, saying, "Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise, exalt, and glorify the King of heaven, because all his ways are right and fair, and he humbles those who are proud. All the inhabitants of the earth are accounted as nothing, and he does according to his will among the host of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth. And none can stay his hand or say to him, 'What have you done?'" When the people saw that God had restored Nebuchadnezzar, they sought him, welcomed him back at the palace, and made him king again. They served him with the same loyalty as before. But from then on, King Nebuchadnezzar believed in the one true God. Dear children, even the most important people on this earth might be tested by God. We were created by God to bring Him glory and honor, no matter who we are. As in the case of King Nebuchadnezzar, God sometimes chooses to humble us and show us His power, so that in the end, we realize that He is the only God who has control over our lives. Daniel's adventures with God continue. If you are curious to find out what happens next in Daniel's life, we invite you to join us for the next episode of this series. Produced by David and Goliath Productions. If you liked this episode, give us a like and a 5-star rating, as well as tell your friends about us. You can rewatch this episode along with the rest of this series on YouTube on the DG Bible Stories channel. Also, you can find our series in audio format on most podcast apps. You can also follow us on the DG Bible Songs channel on YouTube, where we frequently post Christian songs and animations for children.